Hi, Chad here with Purple Collar Life. Today we're going to work on a rotation of the tires on the Ford Expedition. I got a notification from the Carfax maintenance reminder that it's time to rotate those tires, so again I appreciate that app. But while we have these off, I wanted to do a quick comparison. I've got the General Grabber ATX tires on the Expedition, and then this is a brand new of the Goodrich Octane TA the exact same size. This is actually to go on the Jeep. And a little bit about why I chose the ATX on the Expedition and why I'm going with the all-terrain K02 on the Jeep. And again, I'll be using the Ridgid Octane impact gun. I'll put a link to that down below in the Amazon affiliates links. So just a couple things as we get to look at these here. I've had these in this position on the Expedition for 5,000 miles. I do see some edge wearing. A tiny bit of cupping, but not bad at all considering how open those blocks are on the outside edges. And I'll give you a tread depth reading. So there's currently 7,000 miles on these. I had them on for about 2,000 or 2,500 miles before I rotated them. Now it's been another 5,000, so somewhere around 7,000, 7,500 miles. 12, 30 seconds. 13, 30 seconds in the very center. So we're wearing on the edges a little bit more than the center, but I'm happy with that. 12 to 13, 30 seconds left with about 7,500 miles on them. They're wearing really well. I do keep track of the rotations, and they're not noisy, so if you're wondering about that, these large shoulder lugs you'd think would be more noisy, but so far with this amount of wear, they are not noisy and they do not pull. So two really good things about having these on something like the Expedition. Now why I went with them, I've always been a fan of these K02 tires. This is what came on the Jeep new, and that's why I have these for the Jeep again. These will be going on before winter time. You can see it's a very similar pattern, but not exactly the same. It looks to me like the blocks are a little bit more wide open on the BF Goodrich than they are on the General. You can see my finger won't go the whole way down into those just because of the spacing between, whereas my finger can go in the spacing between on the BF Goodrich. The outside shoulder blocks on the General Grabber do have these open edges every other, just like the BF Goodrich does. And they do have different spacing, so you've got a large block, smallest block, just like on the BF Goodrich, so a lot of similarities. The main reason in the Expedition we went with this one is because these are about $150 a piece, whereas the BF Goodriches are about $210 a piece in this size for the Expedition. So I got these for the Jeep because that's what came on it, and I do like the look of them on it. But for the Expedition, I was thinking something like this, but then I saw the General Grabbers. They have a 50,000 mile warranty on it. That's a huge benefit. And so far, I'm really happy with them. So if you were wondering, comparison between the BF Goodrich and the General Grabber, I can tell you that so far, I'm really happy with the General Grabber. They're worth the $50 a piece savings in my mind. They've been holding up really well, no road noise, great in the snow. We ran these in the winter last year in our Pennsylvania snows, and these did a nice job. These are actually studdable, so you could put metal studs in these if you wanted to. Now we didn't do that because I wanted to run these year round, and in Pennsylvania you can't run the studs year round. You can only run them between November and April. So that's why we went no studs, but again, there's your side-by-side comparison of what the tread patterns look like. Similar, but not exactly the same. And I'll give you an update further down the road as we get more miles on these. I do have the BF Goodriches on the Jeep are pretty worn down, but they still hold the road really nicely. There is getting to be quite a bit of noise from those tires. Now, they weren't rotated as often, and I think there's a little bit more cupping on the inside edge on the Jeep. So that could be part of the reason the noise is coming up so much on the Jeep. But again, I've been happy with these on the Jeep. No complaints, but the price is really what drove me to these in the Expedition. I don't know if the WD-40 will help or hurt me, but I'm having trouble getting those lug nuts out of the impact gun, so I'm going to give that a try. Much easier. Olive, did you want to come over here and say hi? You can come over here on the camera and say hi. Normally I'd like to wear the nitrile gloves, but with the pandemic they're getting really hard to find, and I don't have a great supply of them left, so just for a tire rotation I'll use a rag and keep wiping my hand off. Yeah, so the back one looks like it's a much flatter wear. I don't see the edge wear. Let's see how we're doing on tread depth. 10/32 on the outside. Almost 12 in the center. Almost 12 on that outside. So the inside edge, probably from this being on the front before it was sent to the back, does have a little bit more wear, but again, they're holding up pretty nicely. Crisscrossed last time, so this time I can just go front to back. At least that's the pattern I like to follow. Now I will come back around and check those with the torque gun when we're all done. With the torque wrench, sorry, when we're all done. Now again, we'll see how these hold up over time. But I'm asking myself here, if the tires were the exact same price, the BF Goodriches and the General Grabbers, which ones would I choose? It's kind of a tough call because the General Grabbers do have the 50,000 mile warranty with them, which is nice, although I found that tire warranties are actually almost meaningless. It's impossible to get them prorated, and even more difficult if you keep rotations, if you do rotations yourself, and the only record you have is on like the app that I use to keep track of my tire rotations. But assuming all things were equal, and assuming these hold up really well, assuming the prices were exactly identical, I would probably go with the BF Goodriches. I just, personally, I think I like the look of them a little better. They're very similar, but the side design of the BF Goodrich just stands out to me from further away and makes it look like more of an off-road looking tire. Now, there's another advantage to the General Grabber that I forgot to mention. That's something that I'm disappointed with about the BF Goodrich. The BF Goodrich no longer has any rim guard. Whereas you can see here on the General Grabber, on the ATX, there's that nice rim guard that protects your rims if you would hit a curb or off-road, hit a rock. And that, I really like those rim guards. I'm not sure why they took them off the BF Goodriches. I will tell you some observations about the BF Goodrich. Having had these on a Jeep Wrangler, I can tell you that they are a great all-terrain tire. They are not a mud tire. I have had the tires full of mud, and they do not clean out while driving in the mud. Once they're caked full in those tread patterns, they don't empty out until you're on dry road. So don't mistake them for a mud tire. And with the tread blocks a little bit closer on the General Grabber ATXs, I would think you'd have the exact same issue. Now both the General Grabber and the BF Goodrich do have the rock guards down in the tread that are supposed to keep the rocks from sticking in them. And I haven't noticed a lot of rocks getting caught. Like I said, we do have a gravel driveway, but we use the big gravel, so it's probably too big to go down into those blocks. Haven't noticed though on any tar and chip roads that we have around here that the rocks get stuck. They do seem to eject pretty well. Tread depth on this one. So this would have been on the rear and then moved up to the front the last rotation. We are at 11/32 on the outside edge. 12/32 in the center. Almost 13 and 12. So on this one, our most worn is the outer edge. That must be from this front location, must wear that position of the tire more. But again, you know, over 7,500 miles, these are holding up really well on the Expedition. Now the Expedition doesn't really tow anything, just hauls passengers. But I wouldn't hesitate to get these Grabber ATXs again so far from what I've seen. The Expedition is the vehicle that my wife drives the most to and from work, errands, while they like riding in the Jeep because it is a cool vehicle, they say that it's not nearly as comfortable as the Expedition or the truck. Let's take a look at the tread depth on this one. Again, I'll put it right beside the BF Goodrich for a side-by-side comparison. Again, the BF Goodrich is brand new, so it's not exactly a fair side-by-side look, but we are at 11/32. 11/32 and 9/32 on the outside edge. So that's interesting. Both this one and the front one on this side are wearing more on the outside edge. The Expedition did have a full alignment before we put these on because we wanted them to wear evenly. But again, still really good tread depth remaining. So I'll make sure, you know, this time I've already started and I'm going front to back, but when I rotate them again next time, I think I'll put both of these on that side, because that side seems to wear the inside more than the outside. Maybe they'll balance out. You can see these General Grabbers do have raised white letters. We opted on the Expedition to have the black walls out. But I think if you were putting them on a truck or a Jeep, the raised white letters would be cool out. I posed the question if the price was the same and suggested that I would probably go with the BF Goodrich. I'll say with the prices being what they are, with these $50 a tire cheaper, now I'd want to hold judgment for my final decision until we wear the whole way through these and see what their tread life is. But so far I would say I would do it again. $50 cheaper a piece for on the Expedition. I'd put these instead of the BF Goodriches. Now for the Jeep, I'd still struggle with that because yeah, it is saving you $200 for the total cost of the tires. But I just don't think this outer sidewall looks as aggressive and just like cool on a Jeep as this does. I just really like that aggressive sidewall look that you get with the BF Goodriches. So I think it gives you that aggressive look, but still really good road handling. You know, the Jeep that I drive is on the road 90% of the time, very rarely off-road. So, like I said, these don't do great in the mud, but I'm not in the mud that much. They do, so far, seem like they do really good in the snow, but I do run a separate set of tires when it comes to wintertime. So anytime these have been on in the snow, it's just been because we had a rogue snow beyond the normal snow season, or too early for the normal snow season. And I should say, I had these tires, not this size, but the same tread design, on a Ford Bronco, and really liked them on a Bronco, just because they still looked really aggressive and cool, but they were great summer, winter, rain. It was an old 1983 Ford Bronco, straight six, 4.9 liter, great engine. And I didn't pay full price on those tires because, if you'll remember, those of you who are as old as me or older, Ford did a recall on Firestone tires on their Explorers and Broncos. And the Bronco had Firestone tires on it that were part of the recall. So I was able to pick out new tires. And I don't think the entire price was covered, but quite a bit of it. So I chose the BF Goodrich tires on the Bronco, and like I said, they look great. I'll probably do a video sometime on the Broncos I've had. That one was one of my favorites. Bought it from the original owner, had been oil undercoated and rust protected with a lifetime rust proofing. It was in great shape, and by the time I had it, it was 15 years old. And I had the opportunity to have the Votech school paint it for me. They did a great job. It was a clear coat, black and silver Ford Bronco. It's one of those vehicles you wish you would have kept a hold of. Let this side down. I look this up every time in all my vehicles because I can't remember it. The lug nuts are 150 foot-pounds of torque. If you don't have a good lug wrench, I suggest you find one. The last thing you want is your lug nuts coming off while you're driving. This is a Craftsman. We'll take it up to 150. So let's sum up here just a little bit. I really do like these BF Goodrich TA K02 all-terrain tires. Love them on the Jeep. They are getting noisy after time, but I just really like the aggressive look of them, and they are a great all-terrain tire for when you're sometimes off-road, but also a lot of time on-road. They're $50 per tire, more expensive right now than the General Grabber ATX. And I'll put links to these from our Amazon affiliate page. Both of these tires, the torque wrench, the impact gun. So if you're interested in any of those things, go ahead and click the link below for them. That helps us out. It doesn't cost you a penny more for what you're buying off of Amazon, but gives us some credit for pointing you in the direction of finding it at Amazon. For the Expedition though, at $50 a tire cheaper, these are holding up really well. They're not noisy. They are a good aggressive tread for, you know, we live in Northwest Pennsylvania. We get snow. They're great in the snow. They're good on dirt roads. We've had a lot of travel on dirt roads because of detours. They're good in our driveway. We have a long gravel driveway. These really hold up. Love about these that they have the rim protection on the sidewall. Just wish they were a little bit more aggressive look in the sidewall. Now for the Expedition, Jennifer probably wouldn't like that if they looked too aggressive. But if I were going to consider these at $50 a tire cheaper on the Jeep, I'd want a more aggressive looking sidewall. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you watching this video about tires. Now we typically do outside work with the tractor or lawn mowers, or soon some snow plowing. But this is also part of purple collar life. You know, like I say, I have a white collar job, but I like to do a lot of blue collar work in my off time, so that's what's purple collar. It's a combination of white and blue collar work. And I enjoy doing things like this on my own. I enjoy keeping track of and maintaining the tires and the vehicles just in general. So if you like videos like this, or videos about tractors and outdoor work, or purple collar life, I'd appreciate it if you click that subscribe button, like, comment, and share, and we'll see you the next time. These are the Jeep tires. 2 tires to go on the wheels that we have, because 2 of them are more worn than the other 2. And these are the tires that run in the winter time. They're on a set of standard Jeep Sport rims to keep our normal rims from getting the salt.